Oh. Hello, we're on the internet. Malevolence!
Hey, Sully should be here for GM Talk. Sully's a GM.
She should be here for GM Talk.
She should be here for GM Talk. Sully, why are you here for GM Talk?
Are we scared of women?
Sully, you're a GM. I'm a little scared of women.
She's here. She's just
That's
a
why
chat.
I only have 1.5 of them on my show.
I'm the other 0.5.
You are the other 0.5.
What's up,
I
man?
got you.
Yeah, I got it. That was good.
good.
1.5 is funny. Hi, everybody. Have you ever thought about running a GM... You ever thought about running a Pathfinder or Starfinder show? Then we're here to help.
Ray!
God, you do this professionally. I've trained in improv. You think this would be way smoother. It really is.
No! So, today, for Tuesday, you have me instead of Bryn. And we're going to talk about stuff. Hey, Corey, why isn't Sully there? That's our first question.
Damn it. Because
So you could drive over here. We'd still be live.
You could be, yeah.
You could just jump in and stream like 30 minutes later. Like, that's what you could do that.
She was actively shopping when we started going live. Why am I being thrown under the bus?
Maybe she's shopping somewhere closer to the studio.
There's nothing close to the studio.
You don't know that.
Or extremely close to the studio.
There's
And that's this bit.
like I really couldn't think of a single thing. I was trying to think of the name of there's like the cooling place, like by the gas station on the corner. There's like I have no idea.
That's just a freezer.
It's
just an ice box.
No, it's like a commercial, like cooling repair place that's not at all a store that you can just like go to. And there's I think it's like a landfill, but it's like a reverse landfill. It's you go there if you want piles of dirt.
There's a grocery store. That could have been a more reasonable thing to say.
Yeah, but that's like 10 minutes away. I don't feel like that's close.
That's too far. You can't you can't join the stream if you're 10 minutes away.
We're looking for immediate proximity, okay? 10 minutes is not immediate proximity.
Did the camera tilt more? Am I crazy? This camera I've been fighting for like 3 weeks now to keep it as straight as possible.
So here's the thing I don't get. Because on the one hand, if you look at the background,
yeah, it's
clearly very tilted.
Yeah.
On the other hand, the leading edge of the table is perfectly aligned to the bottom of the frame.
So this doesn't look as tilted. I shouldn't look away from the microphone. This doesn't the background doesn't look as tilted as it does on the camera. Like this specific bit is a little more tilted, but like even this part.
Sully has a really good point. The table is not perpendicular to the camera. The table is at an angle, so it's tilted enough to perfectly compensate for the angle the table's had to make it look level. We've created an optical illusion. Fellas, we did it.
That's true. Okay.
Alright, I can fight this. You want me to fight this? Arcadis will love it if I just go over there and start messing
No, I don't want it. Because I messed with it. I've literally messed with it for 10 minutes before streaming. Could not get it as perfectly right as it used to be.
I can go make it worse.
Nope.
Are you sure?
Let's not.
Because I definitely can do that. It's actually Nebula. Very easy.
Hi, Nebula. Hi, bestie.
Hi, Nebula.
It's fun to have a UGT best friend, and it is it's Nebula. It's solely first on the list of besties there, but it is like for Nebula, it's solely first and everyone else.
And that's just kind of like ambiguously UGT.
Yes,
the company.
Happy to be here though. That's still a very small list.
Yeah, exactly. That's like 15 of us. Like it's not a big roster.
It's like roughly 15.
Something like that. Yeah, it's a pretty exclusive list. It's a pretty exclusive list. I dig it.
GMing.
Do
it.
Running adventures.
Rolling dice and improving.
Oh. I never had to do this.
His little butt is all like messed up. Cheers.
Cheers. You guys make this frog thing seem like it's so hard with like the incredible cheering whenever he hops.
Dude, you and I never get to cheer. This is huge for us.
We never do this.
Well, and yet a third well.
We're at the same table.
This is crazy.
That's so
Even when we were on Malevolence, we were pretty far away at
I know,
times.
we were almost opposite corners. Well, I was...
No, wait. No, we sat directly next to each other.
Yeah, I was like, wait, hold on. No, we didn't. I was like, nah. You were... I just went with it.
Thanks for accepting what I said.
Yes, and my friends when he says things. You know, I don't stop to think about whether he's correct. I'm just like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's my boy.
Wait, hold on. You were definitely right next to me, but go on. Because I had the children. I was at the children's table because I was an honorary children.
Yeah, that's right. We had the two adults in the corner.
I'm pretty sure. Was I the older sibling?
No, you were.
I was the younger sibling. Of
Lacey, you mean?
Yeah.
I have no earthly idea, honestly. Jumble's never even thought about that one of you could be an older sibling. Never
for once considered that we two were siblings.
Yeah, that's my uncle and that's my mom. That's how that works.
Those are adults. Adult is an age, and that is both of them.
And Grandpa's the bigger adult.
Adult
what I know.
Almost been the worst die-hard portmanteau of like adult to adult harder, but that's not what I was gonna say. I was gonna put them together. Don't do that.
No.
It doesn't come out how you want it to. The implications are terrible for the Numina family.
I miss Malevolence. It was fun. Malevolence. It is very funny going from having just played Malevolence, which was you guys had I'm almost positive Lacey is older. There you go then.
Yeah, I think Lacey was older. I was a younger one.
It's funny because like in Malevolence it was always like you and Bryn, because you guys were the most experienced of Pathfinder, were like, we normally have more stuff by this point. It's like this game Malevolence is hard because we're lower level and don't have a ton of stuff. Like we don't have any runes on our weapons.
Yeah, you play like level 3.
And then I come into level 12 Pathfinder, or level 13.
No, you can level 12 Pathfinder.
I came into 12 and then got immediately put into 13. And I'm like, there's so many little things I have to keep track of now.
100 buttons.
That's also just my class.
Turn your aura off.
Yeah. So many of the things that are like the coolest moments will just shut that off fully. And I get the balancing.
Turn it back on.
Yeah, but it does take an action to turn it back on. That's the balance.
But your action turn it back on also gives you a thing. You can immediately do an impulse.
That's true.
So like it basically means we'll get to Insane in a second. It means you can't just spam.
We'll get to the topic in a second.
The 2 and 3 action things. You actually, because your aura only gives you a 1 action thing, you do actually have to use the 1 action impulse.
Yeah.
Because you get them as part of re-aura.
I'm truly so excited for that feat that lets me just get rid of the concentration. It's just as a free action, I can just keep concentrating on the
Solely love that one.
It'll be so nice.
All right. When you customize encounters, /lore/loot, one of those things is in a very different ballpark. We'll get to that in a second.
We'll get it there.
How much do you take into account the player versus the character? So why don't we start with the former and the latter and ignore the middle one for right now.
Okay.
When you customize encounters and loot, how much do you take into account the player versus the character? The player versus the character. So
if the player has fun versus like making the character.
Yeah, I'm trying to divine the intent of the question here. For loot specifically, what I would take from that is like, how much do you put in items that are like lore or area appropriate, or like an item that I personally think would be like interesting for MD versus something that Colby wants.
Yeah.
Is that what we're going for? Is that what we're looking at?
I'm assuming that my solution was I was very bad at giving loot, and then I made a little alien boy that is a traveling shop like in Resident Evil 4. And then
in every universe there is Sal Sartan.
Yes, or Sal Sartan. So, which I want to say I had the idea for Squirt and then told you, and you're like, oh, that's just like Sal. So these were two independent, exact same ideas.
It's a really good idea. It's the enchantment dwarf just being places and then hand waving. You have to worry about finding all this crap is a really good idea for a show that doesn't want to spend an entire episode shopping.
But even as a GM, like even when I would just run games normally, like I never cared about when I was a player. I never thought, oh, I should search that body. I was like, all right, I did the thing. I'm gonna move on now. And I think it's just the remnants of like video game mentality outside of like. It's like the Zelda mentality of like, you kill the thing, but you'll get the item you want later on.
Yeah.
It's not, I kill the guy and I get the thing that he had.
Well, I think that specifically This is veering off topic, but that specifically is very old school versus new school, like D&D and tabletop. Because old school, the whole game was kill the monster, search the body, get the loot.
Right.
And new school is, like you said, like Zelda. You just assume the loot is going to foist itself upon you.
Right.
So, like, for example, in the tower, in Miakian's tower we just finished up, this is the episode before you joined, I believe, or 2 episodes before you joined. There was a bunch of loot in the observation room where you could see down into the lower chamber that, like, I had to just tell them as they were trying to leave, you see all of this stuff over here that looks cool. Like, there's a cool looking thing on that table. It looks like a thing that's cool.
Yeah.
And you should go put your hands on it and maybe take it with you if it feels right. But, like, because we 100%, both our parties here, we're very storytelling focused. So we are not, like, body looting room searchers. That's just not how our parties work.
Riley and Gary kind of did that at the beginning of Secrets. This is not a dig at them by any means. It's just like that's how they played. It was they were like, kill the guy, get his stuff.
Which is largely what these, like, adventures are written for. Like, I'm adapting a Pathfinder 1st edition campaign. It extremely assumes you are taking everything that is not bolted to the floor.
Yes.
The furniture is priced out. It's assuming you're stealing. It is assuming that you're stealing Mun's couch on the way out. Like, it's.
Oh, I need that actually.
That's part of your loot by level. Is his fur recliner. Like, the portrait in the entryway, the full-size portrait of him, is part of your loot budget. Like,
who's gonna buy it?
Why would you take it?
But so, like, Riley had asked to loot the body, and I literally just read off what was on the guy's stat block, and she got a thing just called the dermal stapler. Don't know what it does. I don't think we still know what it does. And she still has it to this day. Has not come up once.
It's on the stat block, though, so now you have one.
Yeah, she does own a dermal stapler. But
if you need to staple some dermal, I mean,
it's just like, well,
she's got you, man.
It's like, no, Sully has it. I still have it in my notes. Like, it is just, it's fully like, I don't ever.
Okay, well, this is important because if it comes up in combat that you need the stapler, does Sully have it or does Riley have it? I
guess Sully has it. I was redoing my index cards and I saw it again. Well, there it is. So, but I would never think about giving loot because I just never thought, like, so that's why I made Squirt, was like, because in Secret Season 2, I didn't give a ton of loot, and I was like, well, it's part of the fun of this game is getting the more powerful things to as you progress. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna have a funny little guy that sells a bunch of both really cool things that I know that they'll want practically, but also some kind of fun things that they'd want. Like silly grenades or like random items like a microphone. Like there's like stuff like that that the party can reliably get whenever.
This is veered off of what Hussein asked, which I'm going to come back to a little bit, which is how much we balance for like the campaign or the character versus what the player would like.
Yes.
And I think,
which is the whole thing.
By and large, I've had several occasions where players have very clearly wanted something, and have sometimes even literally asked me, especially if it's like a rare item, like, is there any way that, like, again, this is just like jam conversations. Hey, this is really cool and I'd like to have one. Is there any way we can work it in there? And I'd be like, well, absolutely. I'll find a way to, like, get this in there. And then if I get, like, directly asked, people show interest in something, 100% define that as loot. But I personally tend to assume that almost everything I give them that isn't, like, plus X weapon runes is gonna get mulched at the gold factory.
Yeah.
And then they're just gonna buy the stuff that they want. Especially because it's my Strange Odds right now and Age of Ashes both were campaigns where you had a lot of access to shopping.
Yeah.
So I just kind of throw stuff that sounds fun and then price it out so they have approximately the right amount of wealth when they go put everything in a blender and turn it into fortification runes or whatever. That's usually what I go for.
Yeah.
So it's mostly I skew towards fun. And as far as like those statistical things, like the plus ones and the greater strikings and whatnot, I don't even consider them in my loot budget. At a certain point, I just throw it at them. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm just like, here you go. Because in Pathfinder, I don't know how it is in Starfinder as much. I think Starfinder 2 is probably the same.
Starfinder 2 has similar stuff, but in this one, it's Starfinder, it's like there's for the predominance of it, it is like there's like different types of guns, and then like you can get the same gun, but like the expert level, essentially.
Yeah, Pathfinder 2 kind of starts assuming mathematically that you have these runes. So I'm just kind of like, here you go. Just see. Honestly, I'm slowly being sold an automatic bonus progression, and I might try it the next time I run something. which is a like optional rule system
Mm-hmm.
that removes +1 and striking from the game, and just like at certain level milestones, like your attack rolls and your AC go up by 1.
Oh, that's 5e does that. That's how 5e is based off of. It's just.
I mean, 2e already does that because of proficiency and your levels factored in, but you just get an additional bump to compensate for the things you don't get, and then you don't have to worry about the boring runs.
That always kind of makes a little more sense to me. That seems more like you're getting more skilled with your weapon rather than you've put a magic on your weapon and now it's better.
I mean, because of proficiency, it's both.
Yeah.
Because every level, your attack and your AC go up.
That's true. That's fair.
But then it's just those little extra, so it's a combination of things. Because you get at most +3 from your weapon and +20 from your level. So like the item is a relatively small bonus in the grand scheme of things, but they just let you ignore it. They did the good thing, because I don't think you played Pathfinder 1e at all.
Nope.
Pathfinder 1e was Christmas tree. Like, you had the Diablo-esque, like, what was it? There was a name for it. It was like the something 7 that were like the 7 mandatory items that you had to buy and you had to keep upgraded by level because the game just kind of assumed you would have them all. So it was like a ring of protection, and there was a cloak of resistance, and there was a necklace of something, and there was
everyone had a uniform that they had to put on.
Yeah, you had to put on your adventuring uniform of this ring and this cape and this necklace, and your sword has to have the thing, and your armor has to have the thing.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure there was a helmet, and there was a belt, and it's like there were
your boots.
Amulet of Natural Armor was one of them. There were like 7 of them, and you had to have them all. But I'm glad that's gone.
Yeah. I'm gonna scroll back up to a Saints question here a bit.
Customize encounters and loot. How much do you take into account the player risk? As far as encounters, I do what I want.
Yes.
Encounters are for me. I'm the GM.
For me, I try to customize it more. And again, there's also a difference with homebrew stuff because I have to make everything up, right? And I think I said it on a stream before at some point. But one of my challenges for this season is I'm making every combat as unique and weird as possible, so that nothing gets repetitive and boring with it. So there's that big part of it for me, but also the Secrets has had the most interesting party dynamic of any TTRPG I've had because of both Sully and Riley's characters. Because both of them are not really combat focused. They are more on like what's happening within the fight. So it's not just necessarily buffing. Sully has the ability to just fully scan a dude, and I just kind of read his stat block for a minute. And just be like, hey, all right, here's his immunities, here's what his resistances, here's what he's weak to. Like it's like all that kind of stuff.
That's kind of like thaumaturge stuff.
Yeah, basically. But sci-fi.
It's a scanner instead of me just looking at him and going,
Yeah.
Seems weak to fire.
he's given fire vibes.
He feels very flammable.
Was he asbestos?
Talus, always wrong Numino. Let's go.
And then for Riley, it's she's doing way more. She's buffing and she's buffing the party, debuffing the enemies, but it's also she has ways to, if there's several enemies that can speak to each other, then she can make them kind of turn on each other as well. So I need to make sure that doesn't come up every time, but I always try to make sure I'm doing something that somebody in the party can always do something. I think I said this all on the combat episode I did, where I just built the combat. I always just make sure everybody has something to do within the combat itself, and it's not this is not Doc's combat, and then everybody else is a side player. This is not this person's combat, and everyone else, like, or anything like that. I'm making sure everyone has something to do. Otherwise, I don't know. I've played it before, and it's boring to just kind of watch your friends play like a tabletop, and you just have to sit there and roll one dice, miss, and then you see everyone again in 45 minutes. So,
I think the combat design for designing versus for your party is something we diverge on a lot, because like you said, you try and design it so everyone's got roles, and with Pathfinder, especially with 2e, I try to design something that just has, like, we start in the same place. I want every fight to be like a somewhat unique challenge. I want them all to have a different shtick, but they're definitely not designed for anyone to do anything specific or to overcome anything. It's like, or to have like a role. I see, especially Pathfinder 2e, very much as every encounter is going to have different strengths and weaknesses. And sometimes your main line of attack just isn't going to work at all.
Right.
So, like, recently, due to the incredible proliferance of blobs, the thing that Colby is saying, yep, that's the one. There's so many things that have been immune to precision damage recently because we went through the horrible blob tower with the horrible blobs.
And they love eating precision.
And they just love not having organs. It's actually one of their favorite things. So it's a lot of like sneak attack getting shut down. So then he kind of has to try to find a way to be effective or to be useful. And it's usually just throwing himself in the way and try the different types of damage because he's got varieties of damage that he can do. So he may not get a sneak attack, but he can use with his shifting weapon, all different kinds of damage to try to trigger different kinds of weaknesses or get around resistances and still be effective, or try to find other things that he can do. Like, the last couple combats, a couple episodes ago, he's trying to shove things around to get him out of the way of people. Even if it doesn't work, he's trying to have to find other things so he can't just, like, sort of hit his routine. Yeah. I try to avoid you go into a combat and there is a target for you to do the thing that you do, and then you do the thing that you do.
Right.
And sort of challenge them to go outside of the sphere. And like sometimes the thing that they do is just gonna work really well.
Yeah.
Because that's just like that encounter is great for them. Several times, as many times as he's been shut down and sad because of immunity precision or even immunity to flanking like the boss had, he's just walked into a fight and completely eviscerated somebody because their AC was fairly low and they sure weren't immune to precision damage and they had moderate amounts of HP. That's like absolute rogue meat right there.
Yeah.
He just runs in, he just rips somebody in half. And he's like, all right, next customer, please.
Yeah, well, what I like doing a lot of encounters and combats too are having environmental things happening. I like having a mini game within a combat. Like that's kind of my favorite thing. Which is
you
like
do a lot of those.
It's fun to me because I mean, like early on we did a lot of just straight combats and like those are fine. And those can be fun too. We'll be doing one soon, because they're a little easier to fight. I can tell you that. But like the bank episode we just had, that was a pretty straightforward combat. But there was the mini game of the vault door opens, so now is wide open. Now we have to reseal that and figure that out. So I like there being an additional challenge within whatever's happening that they have to kind of react to in that moment.
Your fixation is environmental. Mine is phase 2. I like I like every combat to go to phase 2. And if we look at Mun's Tower again, because it's just the most recent dungeon I've done, it's fresh in my mind. Let's look at the series of encounters we had. We had a fight that started with 2 hulking, stitched zombies that then exploded into bees and turned into a completely different encounter.
Phase 2 bees.
And then we went upstairs and we fought 7 and 9, and you had a fight with an electric robot and a fire robot. And then almost immediately, and as the combat went out, discovered there were also a bunch of Akis in the room. And now the fight's a completely different fight than what you thought it was. Then we went downstairs and fought an alchemical golem. We're like, okay, we're fighting a big robot, who then started smashing windows and letting completely different enemies and join in the fight. And then we obviously had the literal phase 2 of the spawn crashing down to the floor, changing the entire battlefield, splitting the party. Yeah. Every single one of those fights in that tower turned into a completely different fight within a round or two. Those are the ones that I really like. I like the multi-phase encounter that's like, you're looking at this and then it's this.
The other thing I like doing a lot is the oh crap moment in a fight. So my recent one is they were fighting the wandering swordsman who walked into town, and his oh crap moment is he has a sword that can just fully cut off your arm, or in Gary's case, cut off his head. Like his head just fully pops off. So there is a very tense moment of everyone being like, oh, because the first thing that got cut off was Valia's arm, and that was the moment everyone was like, what did we do? Like, you now don't have an arm. Then he got his head cut off, and then that became the moment of like, oh, we can reattach them. They're kind of like just popped off. We just pop them back in like a Lego piece. So it's like those are the other things I also like, because on paper that's also a pretty straightforward combat. One really strong guy you guys have to fight who is both strong and fast, so he can get anywhere and everywhere immediately. So those are I like environmental and just having like a surprise little here's a thing like bees popping out of a bag of skin.
All right, let's go back up a bit.
Yes.
Do you have a personal preference of milestone versus combat experience levels up? I literally cannot imagine a universe where I actually make people count experience.
You never.
I know this is, again, the new age versus old age thing. And I think, majoritively, I am more a fan of the old school tabletop. But I can't imagine a universe where you actually have to, like, oh, sorry, you're too low level for this dungeon that the story has brought you to.
No.
You need to go outside and kill more goblins. Like,
you're not your high carrot potato.
Potato.
Yeah, no, I've never once in my life have played a game where experience mattered, and I've never once in my life run a game where experience mattered, and I never will. The closest I got is in Baldur's Gate 3 because it forces you to do XP, and even in that, I don't like it. I don't like when I get to level up but Karlach doesn't, or vice versa. I like everyone kind of being at the same level.
There's two things I don't like. I can be sold on this in a campaign that's really built around it, but like by and large, I hate the concept of a party being mixed levels.
Yeah. Because
the few times I've ever experienced that, it's just been horrible. Because like everyone that's lower level, especially in something like 2e where the math is so linear, you're just worse, obviously, just worse at everything. And in something like 2e, you are just debuffed. Like, we know how big plus and minus ones are in 2e.
Yeah.
With being level disjuncted, when we did the level up stream for Strange Aliens going 12 to 13, almost everyone got an armor proficiency increase. So if you were one level lower, your AC would be 3 points different.
Huge.
You would have a 15% higher chance to be hit and crit by every single monster you faced until you caught up.
Yeah, I
felt that.
Yeah, no, I just also don't like keeping track of things.
Let's be real.
I don't really keep track of my gold whenever I get it. That's why I like, God bless Colby for just being the purse, because I hate doing that.
In my experience, it's all gotta be one. The party requires a bookkeeper.
Yes.
And it was Nick in Age of Ashes, and it's Colby in Strange Aliens. Somebody has to be in charge of the Excel spreadsheet that has everyone's goal and
that's
requests.
why Nick was there. Let's do another one real quick. Y'all fought Trafalgar Law from One Piece. Yep, that's my inspiration for that fight.
How many times have you had multiple scenarios, say 9 for example, for an encounter/area only for the party to go options 1 through 9 sounds stupid. What if you picked option 10? Well, I feel like your question is less a question, more as a sarcastic jab at the fact you can never predict what the party's going to do, which, you can't. A lot of GMing is just winging it. you just take your plan, you put it over there, you think about what could have been, and then you just do something. Because then fell apart
put that in the corner and go, I'll save that for later. Sometimes you plan out a very detailed combat on how to do a high noon showdown, and then it doesn't come up. It didn't happen.
You talked about it so many
like
times.
A week, I was like, how do I balance this?
We had like 3 or 4 conversations about your high noon, and it never happened.
It hasn't happened yet. Don't know when at this point. We'll figure it out. It'll happen at some point. It's detailed in my notes, and it's ready to go.
We talked about it so many times. I can't believe it didn't happen.
It's, that's
I just kind of assumed you had it, and it went well.
No, it didn't.
So there was another from Soldi. What are your favorite combats either of you have run before?
I've said mine a few times, so I'll let you go first, then I can.
Well, why don't you say yours again so I can think about it?
Okay. My favorite one I've run is I Yearn for the High Noon. Thank you, Logan. My favorite combat I've run was in honestly the bank heist was very fun. That's a close second. My favorite one I've done is in season 2. There was a disaster happened on the ring, and after the party realized that one of their friends was in that area, that the ring got destroyed. So they rush over there. They see his shop that he owns is in rubble. They as they're uncovering him, cops show up that are there to just kill anyone that's left in there. So the combat ensues as they're trying to lift this rock off of their friend, and then right as they lift it off, they see that there's a piece of rebar stuck in him and bent over, so they cannot pull him off. And across the way, a key aspect of this is there's a sniper. There's a sniper like 500
that
feet
feels
away.
relevant.
Yes.
Okay.
A sniper 500 feet away that they cannot fight back. It is an environmental, like they are going to get shot at, and they have to make sure wherever they end up, they are ending up behind cover.
What is this, Doma Castle? Like,
I don't know what that means. So, again, proof that I'm not stealing that one. So, it is once they lift the rock off their friend, they see the rebar is bent, and there's a portable blowtorch across the entire way. So one person has to run out where a sniper is openly firing at them, grab that, and come back and get their friend. That was my favorite combat I ran because the tensions were high. There was a lot of good like goofs in between, and it felt like the most natural progression of like, here's the stakes. Oh, the stakes got raised in a very natural way. There it is over there. Let's handle that. I think that was one of the best combats I've done.
I've got a lot of thoughts. Centipede comes to mind. Anzu versus the Hurricane King is a big one. I really liked the Tatterman in Chapter 1 of this Aeons, and the unspecified, absolutely undetailed, ambiguous final boss from the first time I ran Strange Aeons. But I think my favorite combat of all time, and this is really just like a story hit, it wasn't like a big complex combat or anything, was, I can't remember the name of the boss because it's really not that important, but it was the Zolgath at the end of Book 1 of Extinction Curse. The party of circus freaks fought their way up to the top of a tower, and this is like a divine tower, and found this like lizard guy, Trog Zolgath from Underground. I can't call him a lizard man because Lizard Man was a member of the party whose name was Lizard Man. And he was siphoning the power out of this for something. And they're there to stop him, and they fight him. And it's a fairly straightforward big angry boss. There's big angry boss with a huge two-handed mallet and a couple of floozies that are with him. And so they're throwing hands, right? But this dude just looks like an Unga Bunga barbarian, and that's not what he is. He's a priest. He's a cleric.
Unga Bunga priest.
He's an Unga Bunga priest. He's like a cleric of the Zolgath death god. So they are literally death cultists. So he bonks down Lizard Man, which is just their frontliner. It's Bryn's character. And he's on the ground. Big hitty. And they are really struggling to hit this guy. He's like, this is a point where I'm like, this might be a TPK. This dude's throwing absolute hands and the party is not handling it. But Lizard Man goes down. They go around the circle. The rest of the party taking their turns. And there's a lot going on. And nobody has the opportunity to get Lizard Man up. But they're like, he's just dying one.
He's okay.
He'll be fine. It comes back around to the boss. The boss is a death cultist. The boss casts Death Knell, which is a spell that just straight up kills a dying character, and then he gets a huge buff.
Jeez.
He just cast Die, and Lizard Man died. That was it. The character died right there. But everyone, I've never seen such absolute fear.
Yeah.
That he just cast Die, and he did.
It did.
That was it. There was no like that. She rolled new character. That's where it came from. But immediately after that turn, because he basically spent his turn doing that and getting superpowered, and he's like, "You're all sacrifices now. You're going to the god of Unga Bunga murder." I think the next three people in succession rolled a natural 20. He blew up.
That is like storytelling.
The boss was at like 75 to 80% health. They barely scratched him. They just went down the line, blew him up. He just got annihilated from almost full.
The party locked in.
Everyone absolutely locked in. And like it was such an incredible like dice storytelling moment. Because like we have dice cams. This was even digital. This was on Roll20. Because we had Zinder, who's in Denmark. We had Mono, who's in Australia, in this party. So like this is a Roll20 campaign. We could all see the rolls. As soon as they were like, "Oh, all right."
Oh, we're in now. I get it.
They just ripped him in half, and it was such a huge, like heavy thing because there's still a dead character. Like Lizardman's still dead.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't undo it. But I don't know. It was just such an incredibly emotional combat, and it felt so powerful. Those couple turns after when they just went bananas. I like that one.
That's good. That's fun. The dice chipping in always feels amazing.
And Colby's still one of his favorite combats. Yeah, they were like level 3. This is chapter 1 of a 6-book campaign. They were like 3 or 4 at the time. He's just like, and you're dead.
And goodbye. We had a couple other
There's a couple
questions. What is your favorite, least favorite class archetype to GM for? I don't have any. You know, I know that's kind of a lame answer, but like I always tell people just play what you want and it's fine and I'll figure it out.
I think 2E very much just kind of leans toward this to the point where I'd say it's almost pseudo necessary, but I really like it when the party has a very strong healer.
Yeah.
Because I feel less afraid of TPKing them. Not because it's so you can pick somebody back up necessarily or anything, but like when you don't have an easy way to turn the tide back once it starts going downhill.
Yeah.
Then it's
downhill.
It's really hard to feel like I can make a combat that's challenging without a very real risk of just killing everybody.
Yeah.
Because as soon as it starts going down, it's not coming back.
Right.
But if you have someone who's just like, it's just going to turn back a little bit and get someone back up and get the momentum going back again.
Yeah.
I could throw a lot more deadly encounters.
Yeah.
And maybe they won't actually be deadly.
Once the party got docked for secrets, that kind of was what happened with me, is because it was just Chip that was the healer before. And he's like, it's kind of like these are 2 half healers that have now made 1 full healer. So it has become a lot more, I can throw a lot harder things at them and not fear TPK, which is always a threat with our story-based shows, which is always a real issue.
If there's anything I hate GMing for, I don't know if there's anything I explicitly like hate GMing for, unless it's just like not thematically appropriate to the campaign. Like, I don't know. But nothing. There's no like. I can't think of a specific class. It's like, I hate that guy.
There's players.
Like 1E, sure, I'll give you a lot in 1E, but like in 2E,
yeah,
I can't. They did pretty good.
There's like player type people I don't like playing with.
I got one. This is the asterisk because it's not the class inherently, but summoner. Just because I've said this before, especially in 1E, there is a very small pool of people that I will trust to play a summoner without their turn being 35 minutes long. And like, that's just how it is. You have a already somewhat complicated character who comes with a second somewhat complicated character, and your turn has to play both of them. And like 2E has fixed it to an extent because you share actions.
Yeah.
There's 3 actions between the 2 of you.
That's nice.
But like 1E, oh my god. Oh no.
You get 2 full turns.
Manshaw is the top of that list. Manshaw can play whatever he wants. Nick's up there. Nick can play whatever he wants. Like there's a short list of people I trust to play that.
You
that
trust
character.
me?
No. Not even a little bit. What do you mean?
What, just because I don't know the rules?
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
Okay. Zender can do it, I'm sure. Colby, you'd be on that list. I'm trusting you to play Summoner. I know your characters like back to front when you sit down.
The dance floor was great.
Honestly, the list is getting longer the more people I play with.
It's weird that I'm still not on there.
No, it's not. It's not. It's really not.
Right. Let's see. Where were we? How do you overcome this mental hurdle of I don't want to kill this PC, but
my favorite combat ever was because I killed a PC.
Yeah. I'm now not as scared to kill PCs. Gloves are fully off now for me. I was very much more nervous when I put too much effort into writing. And now that I've realized I need to not put as much effort, I shouldn't say effort, but not as much.
Writing, you mean like very detailed and rigid planning.
Right.
Then like losing a character would make fall apart. Yeah.
Right.
Then it's hard to kill someone because you're so built into people.
Right. Now I've got the broad strokes that the players fill in, and I'm not as worried about that anymore.
I think if your campaign, if your battles, if your combats don't have risk of death, I mean, you can play a campaign like that. That's fine. I mean, you can have campaigns where you're not expecting anyone to die, where everyone's going to make it to the end. It's just it's a flavor, right? If you want a campaign where combats feel intense and like players are worried and feel like they have to think about things or really feel threatened, that comes from knowing that they can die.
Yeah.
Like that comes from characters being killed. And if they know that they're invincible, then you lose that weight. Which again, that's a different type of campaign. That's fine if you don't want to play like a combat, or you want to play a less combat centric or a less gritty campaign. That's perfectly fine. But like my first one of Strange Aeons, one character made it from start to finish, and it was just Mancha. It was the only. I said 3 of them made it into book 6. 4 of them.
Ooh, so they dropped like flies at the end there.
No, it was. I'm trying to remember. I know Joe died, but I think Marius died, and that like he wasn't, because he was already Omereth. No, okay, yeah, 3 of them made it into book 6. 2 of them died in one dungeon.
Oof.
And it just left Mancha. Okay, we got
a lot more questions.
Yeah, we gotta catch
answer them.
Okay, Carrot Potato. I'm a new DM and I want to start a campaign for some friends. They're all new players. Do you have any tips on how to handle that?
I mean, depending on what system you're in, most of them have starter boxes, and I honestly, I know at the very least for D&D 5e, the starter box is truly fantastic. It is Pathfinder, the best way to get into it.
Pathfinder 2's beginner box is wonderful.
They're perfect.
The Trouble Under Atari or whatever it's called is really, really good. And it's really good even if you as the DM are new to the system, because it explains everything. And it does it almost, I don't know if this is a risky way to explain it, but like almost like a video game tutorial, where it kind of slowly introduces concepts rather than needing you to read the entire rulebook up front.
Yeah.
Like it really piecemeals it out and explains it to both the GM and to the players. And it's not just combat; it's like all the parts of the game. So like that's really, I'm pretty sure the Trouble on Atari digital version is completely free.
Perfect. That's awesome.
I believe.
And
it obviously is a physical box, but I
think
the PDF of the adventure is free.
And also, as a new DM, do not fear being wrong. Don't fear, like that's the biggest thing that I always stress with it. There's so many rules that you feel like you have to know them all. It's almost impossible for you to know them all.
He'll do stuff wrong. We still do stuff wrong all the time. Every episode.
Every episode there's something bad. So just don't stress about it. Do whatever you think is the most fun and cool in that moment, and then run with
don't stop the cool to open the rule book and dig around for 10 minutes. Just do something.
Rule of cool always takes precedent. It is rule of cool. If it makes the party happy and it works well with what's going on, then do it 100%.
Yeah, it's really it's just keep it basic and just wing it.
Don't stress too hard.
Don't stress.
Okay. Let's see. What about the PvP encounter?
I was asking about the combat.
I just saw a question mark and started reading. Are there any other TTRPG systems that you're interested in or you've ever thought about running on stream? Or maybe a mechanic from a specific game system that you've ever wanted to borrow?
This is going to absolutely shock you, but part of me has wanted to play Call of Cthulhu for like 10 years. I mean, that's I know that's wild when I'm running basically that, but it's Pathfinder. But like,
I think a Call of Cthulhu like prequel for Aeons would be fun. I think I've said it before, I don't know. But I think that'd be...
There was a plan once to do a 10 Candles Aeons tie-in.
Oh, right.
We never got there.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't ever look... I'm so... Because this is also what I want to do for a job. You know?
Got big dreams!
Yeah, like it is like I don't ever look at like other stuff that much.
I really don't either, honestly. I know there's like 1 million TTRPGs out there. I really don't.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not...
Most of them are just kids on bikes. Like that's... Or like Monster of the Week.
Or they're D&D hacks.
Yeah, like that's half of them.
So, I really don't look at a lot of other ones. It's really just Call of Cthulhu for me, because I know I would love the flavor.
Roll for shoes.
And
the other part of that question was, is there any mechanics from a system that you wanted to borrow? Plenty. I kind of just do borrow.
I'm a D&D doomer, but they have a couple of really, really good ideas. Particularly like legendary and lair actions I really, really like, and I wish 2E had some kind of equivalent. So I just, hack them.
Yeah.
Basically, like that. I mean, functionally, the spawn falling through all the floors is basically a lair action.
Yeah.
But
the lair actions and legendary resistances in 5e are so fun. It's one of the most fun parts of running that system is when somebody goes, I cast this spell, and you go, no. Like it feels so good.
There's something similar in the Mythic system in Pathfinder, but the Mythics is a very niche system. That said, I did obviously use it already, but and it's a little different. It's not as good. D&D definitely does better with that. Legendary Resistance is also cool.
One of the things I really like about the Starfinder system, and I might take it for other stuff, I like the stamina health a lot.
I really do too. It's actually,
I think it's a really, really cool thing. I think it's fun to have 2 health bars like that.
It's an optional rule in 2e, and I'm kind of thinking about it for like at post Aeons. It seems really good. I like it a lot.
It's fun. I think they're getting rid of it for the 2e conversion. I also honestly like the 2 ACs as well. It's a little clunkier, but I think it's a fun idea.
Having played Pathfinder 1 and 2, and then very little Starfinder, admittedly, Starfinder it just looks like you have your AC and your 1 lower AC.
Yeah.
And that's... You could just say energy weapons ignore on point of AC and just kind of... You literally just...
It's clunky. I like the idea behind it, but it is a little...
In Pathfinder 1e, you had 3 ACs. You had your AC, you had what's called your touch AC, which is something like a Ray of Frost that doesn't have to get through your armor, that just has to hit you. So, like, you got your dex, you got your dodge bonuses, you didn't get your armor. Your armor didn't help you, because it's not going to deflect the hit. The natural armor didn't help you. It's just going to touch you. Then you had the opposite, which is your flat-footed. And flat-footed AC it's become the flat-footed condition, which is just a flat -2.
Yeah.
But it used to be its own AC when you were flanked or an enemy was invisible that ignored your dodge and your dex because you weren't aware of them to attempt to avoid them. So it was just your armor.
Interesting.
And it was interesting.
Just clunky.
It was clunky. The biggest problem is that almost universally, characters had 427 AC, 425 flat-footed AC, and 11 touch AC. So you would just... Like Logan said, I love beating dragons by using the touch AC to my advantage. Yeah, and every other monster in all of Pathfinder 1e. Or... They're like, I'm a speedy snake, and then their flat-footed AC is 3, and you just like flank them and they explode.
Yeah.
So which is not, I guess, intrinsically bad.
Yeah.
It's like they have a weakness, but
it doesn't work as well.
That much. And I think KAC, EAC just
same thing.
At best, it basically doesn't do anything, and at worst, it's that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was that. Okay. Been playing Pathfinder in general for a little over a decade. Been playing 2e since it first came out. Me and my space parties still get things wrong. Yep.
Okay, is it a good idea to test run a major encounter with the party's current layout just to see how it can go and adjust the encounter if needed? You mean like literally, like pre-rolling dice kind of thing?
Well, so I've had this thought. I was listening to the Dungeons and Daddies podcast, and Will is running a Call of Cthulhu campaign on there, and in their Patreon post show. He said one of the hardest things about it, and I never really thought about it until he said this, but one of the hardest things about doing like a show like this is you come up with these ideas and you can't really play test them. You don't know if they're really going to work until you're in it.
Right.
It's like you can have all these really cool ideas in theory that will work, like a High Noon Showdown, but you don't know if it's going to work or not until you're live on show doing it. And for them it's easier because it's like a pre-recorded show that they can cut out if it's bad. But if it's for our live show that we do, we just have to really hope that our idea is good. So I've thought about doing that before, but then I felt like it was cheating of like getting the characters' player sheets kind of rolling to see how it would balance that way. And I was like, then I feel like I know like a lot of the fun as a player is getting the dupe on your GM. Like that. There is a very fun of like.
So I have this.
It's like here, 35 fire damage. I'm immune to fire damage. I didn't know that. All right. That's the fun part of it. So I felt like I would be taking away a big aspect of being a player.
Hey, sub,
thank you for the sub. I feel like that's taking away a big aspect in like playing card of the player. But.
I feel like we try to recapture that every now and then, especially recently with hero points.
Yeah.
And that was the original idea of the deck, and now the new deck is like, I don't know what's in there. I've explicitly not looked through it, and they'll pull out some crap and be like, okay, like sure, I guess we're doing that now. Like I did not vet these at all. Like, I vetted a couple, or I just read a couple by me because he wasn't sure if they were too much.
Yeah.
But for my end of it, I try to think about the math because we run a lot of combats. So I have a general concept of where everyone's numbers are.
Yeah.
I know vaguely what everyone's AC is. I know vaguely what everyone rolls to hit. And I can compare that to monsters they fought before, and if they had what issues they had. And I don't like roll anything because I know how the numbers shake out. I know how the math shakes out. I know how the averages shake out. That said, I have tweaked things on the fly before, for sure, when I realized, okay, maybe this is a little too much. And then sometimes I've been like, maybe this is a little too much. Like,
his rules.
Literally, it was before the show, our 2 episodes ago, before they fought the Shub Spawn, I asked everyone, what's your fort DCs look like?
Oh, right.
everyone read off numbers that were like, he still succeeds on a 2. I went, okay. A lot of people getting grabbed today. You're going to be getting restrained on like 10s and 11s. Let's go.
I want to, okay, pivot. So, real quick sidebar about that fight. Could he have swallowed somebody again, or was he swallowed once and it was done? Okay.
Because he's amorphous.
So, do immunities apply in the stomach of the creature? Because with I at one point I started yelling, "Eat me!" Because what I thought was, what if I just get swallowed and then I explode in his stomach? Are his internal organs as resistant to fire as his skin?
You have to kind of figure that out on the fly. That'd be really funny. No, I actually stopped eating people because I went for more of a hit everyone sort of approach.
Yeah.
And it takes him. Like, it's a whole action to try to eat somebody.
Yeah.
And it's an action that can fail because it is another athletics check. His athletics is 20 million.
Yes.
But it's a check that's almost guaranteed to be with multiple attack penalty because he already just grabbed somebody. And when he does the 51 swings, the multiple attack penalty is a little bit. So, like, the roll to eat someone is very failable at that point.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And I was like, he's not dumb. And while I would like to consume someone, they got him out really easily. So,
whose woe was it that almost TPK'd the Aeon's party with that Tor Ice Bomb? I remember that.
I don't remember. I would just assume a Sane.
It was a Sane.
Probably most.
I want to say it was almost Tim C.
With a woe?
It might have been. I remember Tim C was in that chat. I don't remember if he was, because that was one of the episodes I was running on, like on the boards.
Yeah, or no, I grossly. Okay, so the door ice bomb. Before we scroll back up and get the question skipped over.
Yeah.
The door ice bomb. The mistake that I made was I really quickly look at the table for like hazard creation, and I applied the damage for like a one-off hazard that hits a person to an AoE. Which
everyone be like, what?
So it's like
that damage happens.
it's like applying the damage of disintegrate to fireball. It doesn't really work like that because one target and lots of targets are very different situations. So I just nuked everyone, and then there was also an encounter in this. That's why I did this damage, because it was immediately going to trigger an encounter so the damage is relevant.
Yeah.
Because I know. Fun fact, just a sidebar. I remove almost. Those of you familiar with Strange Aeons may notice I have ignored probably 30 traps at this point, because I truly do not see the point of a trap that just does damage.
Yeah.
In a situation where they'll just go, well, okay, it can be. Yeah, she's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then they're back to full again, and she goes, can I have 10 minutes to get that focus point back? And then they just sit there and stare angrily at the weird needle that came out of the 47th book, or the chest that exploded again.
Or I also don't love traps. There's times where they're fun, but it's like so many traps.
I like traps, they have to be relevant.
But it's like so many traps could just be, if you have a pole arm, you could just kind of go through and just hit the hallway in front of you.
Old school again, you know?
You just kind of hit everything and then be like, all right, we're clean. Keep going. So
Roger's also a big lower. I'm trying to think who it was. I don't think I'm going to be able to. That was so long ago. My soul says it was the same.
Odds of it are a same. The odds are. Hell, I've influenced the combats via wheels and woe.
Let's go up. That's true. I've used wheels and woes to adapt combats that I've wanted to go up or down.
Roku-san said he did not do the ice bomb.
I have. Oh, it was probably almost definitely the same then. Yeah, I have added in an enemy I wasn't planning on running on a woe before. I was like, I cut this down, but you know what? You guys are doing fine. I'm putting it back. here's the guy.
You stole our treasure.
How I do loot. They don't get any. Easy. Whoa, it's empty. Okay.
What's the most rewarding experience you've ever had as a GM? Maybe like a favorite moment memory you were able to create for a player, or just your favorite thing you got to do to be there for. Haha.
The answer's Lizard Man again, but let me think of something else. Okay. I didn't really engineer that. That was just kind of a party bit. I can't take credit for that.
You were running the game. It wouldn't have happened if you weren't there.
So in War for the Crown, we had a recurring thing with Shenmue's character Inori. She was a bounty hunter. And throughout the adventure, they fought like drakes and serpents and just like random errant lizard-esque monsters. And every time they killed one, Inori'd be like, hell yeah, I killed a dragon. And then Manjaw's wizard, who knew everything, so he decided the best way to not metagame was just make his character know everything. It was like, that's not a dragon, that's a drake. No, that's not a dragon. that's an asp. That's not a dragon. That's a basilisk.
It's almost a dragon.
Every time he's just like, that's not a dragon. That's like it's a reptile. Like
that's funny.
And then book 5, way late in the campaign, they're fighting like this paladin who is the like religious leader of the opposition army. It's a Civil War adventure. And they go fight this guy, and he reveals he is a dragon, and he's just been in human form the entire time. And so he transforms into a dragon form and hits him with like gold dragon breath, is basically just like pacified. So because they're lawful good.
Yeah.
It's the stop fighting gas. And everybody failed except Manchaw's wizard, who then proceeded in true Pathfinder 1st edition fashion to solo the entire fight. And then as this dude was melting in a pile of slop, he turns around to Inori and says, and that's how you kill a dragon! While she's just pacified in the corner and couldn't do anything.
That's really funny.
It was the only dragon in the campaign. That was like months of build up to that.
Excellent payoff.
And it was Link's NPC from Patreon. Yeah, the dragon's name was Linkus.
That's funny. I'm trying to think, because mine are also I can't even think that I did. Like, I just think of the party's bits that make me like.
That's the thing, is like I can't take credit for that. I had no role in that. That was entirely Shenmue and Manchaw's bit.
My two, I'm adjacent to one, but my two are the most recent one is spider milk, because we've introduced that spiders, because on the
male spiders.
Yes, it is male spiders specifically can be milked.
I don't know how we got here.
I don't remember the bit, to be 100% honest, but it was somebody said it, and I was the one that said male spiders that get milked, and it's become a thing. And then the other one was in season 2. They were in like an old office building that had been abandoned, and there was a vending machine. There was a combat happening, but it was just like Gary was handling it, and then it came down to Riley and Sully that were like, I don't know, just look at the vending machine. So they went and looked at the vending machine, and we just said there were space Skittles in there. It was Spittles.
Was I running this? Did I run this show? I feel like I was on the board for this one. Yeah, because I was definitely present.
For Spittles?
I think I was running the board for Spittles.
But it was my favorite. Yep, it was. Yeah. There you go. My favorite bit, this is the part I'm adjacent to, was the how they work. Like, because it would be like they would either turn to dust or melt through the floor. It was always those two, and throughout the whole campaign, it would be somebody would be like, "I throw Spittles at it," and I was like, "You throw it?" And they're like, "Yeah." I went, "All right." It turns to dust as it hits the wall, and then they'd be like, "I put the Spittles on the ground." And I go, "You put them on the ground?" They go, "Yeah." And I'm like, "All right." It melts to the ground. And they were like, "How does this work?" Like, what's the logic to Spittles? So that's one of my favorite. Was just trying to figure out the physics of how these expired candies work. That's the fun part. It doesn't.
I think my favorite thing that I've done, I guess, that I can actually be involved in. This is probably just recency bias, honestly, but recency bias.
Recency bias. It rolls off the tongue.
Perfect. What a great bit. I'm so funny.
It really sounds great.
Every interaction between Reese and Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
And every interaction between Melisson and Cammy, I thought was so good. Both of those, like book 2, both of those pairs were like better than I ever could have hoped for, and I feel like they were both so emotional on 2 completely different sides. But like specifically the scene where Easy went through the escape portal with Reese and then she just stabbed him. Like that, I don't know if that's really a payoff. That was kind of like sort of. It was kind of a payoff to that arc.
Gotcha.
Like, for the time being.
Yeah. I thought of one. If you're done, I thought of one.
No.
But it was this also was Kevin adjacent. That's what reminded me. Was
I miss Kevin.
Rest in peace, Kevin.
Rest in peace.
It was in the end of season 2. It's when they were on the time loop farm. And man, I just put them in a lot of weird places, saying all these locations out loud. But it was on time loop farm, and it was Kevin's character, his brother who had died. Gizmo sat down on a couch to watch TV, and a talk show started, like a late night show, and it was the spirit of his brother was on there, talking to the camera as if he was like the host of it. And I described it. This is just one of my favorite little flavor things, is he saw it, and then he felt weird for a second, and then he felt like the whole room was spinning as he was now the guest on the late night show. And that was the only way that his brother and him could communicate for this little bit, was like sneaking into this like late night show that was not real. As like he would talk like he's talking to an audience and everything. And when I had described it that things were getting like a little more serious, lights would shut off, there was no audience there whatsoever, and it would just be them talking in a panic for a moment, and then lights would turn back on, still no audience, but it sounds like there's an audience. And the face everyone had given me when I said that it was his brother on the screen, and then me describing him now being the guest on the show, audience or player reaction was great, and I was like, oh, this thing I wanted paid off. This rule. I was like, oh, thank God.
Gosh, I love Melisson as a villain. I love sympathetic villains. It's the one thing that I largely lose, obviously, doing Lovecraft adventures, is like the sympathetic villain. Not that Melisson's really sympathetic, it's not the right word, but like the very personal
understandable
villain. Yeah. Understandable, comprehensible villain. Because now
that's not your thing.
Definitely not really anymore of that in Strange Aeons. That's not a thing we're doing anymore.
It's way out.
Oh, we are Goradio. Welcome.
Welcome, and I'm glad you're shocked by something.
Very. It's like 20 exclamation marks of terrified. But it's the big loss, because I love Lovecraft. But man, I love them so viscerally personal villains. Like the very personal vendettas, like the character level story. It was so real. It was like a very realistic relationship to the villain that really made it for me. I was a little afraid of it because obviously I wanted to be a degree of realistic, but it was kind of like a borderline, I feel like clearly somewhat borderline abusive relationship between Melisson and Adelme, where she was just very much, Adelme was just a tool to her. And that's a little iffy, but like they're villains. They're not good people. Like,
it works. I mean, you can do realistic stuff in there. You know, like it works. Any advice for a new player that a Fantasia?
I'm assuming that has a Fantasia. I assume is what we're going for. You know what a Fantasia is? Okay.
It's a good Disney.
Picture
movie.
a cow in your head.
Yeah.
Just like a little plastic cow.
Oh, is this where you can't picture things in your head? Okay.
So
I wrote this on. It's when you can't picture things in your head.
Yeah, you can't picture if you can't like visualize it. So a large part. So realistically, this is going to be possibly crazy. I don't have a Fantasia, but maybe it's just because I'm doing so much when I'm running things that I visualize. I really visualize like it's an episode of an anime, entire episodes and scenes in my head.
Yep.
3 weeks later when I'm mowing the lawn. But like in the moment, I don't at all. Like I think one of my weaknesses in being descriptive is that I really don't stop to picture it.
Yeah.
Because that's not what I'm focused on so much as I am the tone like the tone and the emotion of the scene that we're in. So honestly, I think obviously, I don't know what it's like to have aphantasia, but there's a lot of other aspects of it to focus on. There's a lot of other things to really hone in and try to like enhance and make a big centerpiece of what you're doing that don't require you to actually like visualize your guy standing in a throne room in shiny armor.
So could you describe instead like how the room smells and like what the ground feels like under you? Like there's you have your other senses you can be using. So like there's a smell in the air that is strong. There's like if you're walking through mud, you can describe the boots sinking into the mud further as it gets deeper into a swamp, like stuff like that.
It's always a piece of GMing advice I found a couple of years ago that's been very helpful. That I try to stick to it. I'm not always great. Is whenever you're describing something that you want to be impactful, you need to describe at least 3 senses.
Yeah.
So you don't ever want to just describe what it looks like. I usually am hitting for at least 2 because I don't feel like I'm great at descriptions. So I'm usually always trying to go for what it looks like, what it sounds like, what it looks like in a smell, or what it looks like in a feeling. And
I always just describe what it looks like. I've never thought about that. I should introduce more smells. I should introduce smell-o-vision.
I pull up scent too often when I'm describing things. But I'm also in an Eldritch Horror campaign. Yes. There's a lot of odorous enemies.
I'll say that there's like music and playing at times too. Like when they walk into the saloon, I described how it visually looks, but that there's also a band playing live music.
Yeah. You want to engage a second sense.
Right.
And that gives you a lot to go with.
I would imagine that adding the other sense really helps with the aphantasia.
Gives you a lot. I have aphantasia like fully. I don't have internal vision at all. I've never had an issue being a player or a GM. Yeah, it's still like aphantasia is like one of those things that, I mean, it's somewhat ironically impossible to imagine.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine not being able to picture something.
In elementary school, I was fully able to rewatch an episode of The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody in my head. Like I cannot imagine not seeing things in my head. Like that's so.
What
that's
do you
so
do
how
when
I
you're
do
mowing
stuff.
the lawn?
Yeah, if you're not like picturing cool fight scenes.
If you're not viscerally imagining the fight with Super Reese at the end of book 2, like what are you doing? Like
when you were in the backseat as a kid, were you not picturing a little guy running next to you?
Oh my god! Yeah.
Like what did you do?
Doing sick flips over the guardrails and everything.
Yeah, he was like, grinding like Sonic.
Yeah, he was like awesome. Jumping through signs. Like,
what if you were also raised in a very religious household and magic is from the devil and is a trick that he plays on you to trick you into eating his forbidden apples? Talk to a therapist, my God.
I don't know that we're qualified to help at this point. I think this has gone beyond the realm of our understanding.
There's an element of fear that I understand is baked within you, but I cannot help you release from that, and I apologize. I've had to release from that a bit. It's not fun. Godspeed to you. We are Goradio. Let's see.
I can imagine things, but there's no visual part. I can play music in my head.
You play music in your head, though, is crazy.
I'm trying to. That also, you noticed it went silent. It went completely.
You're just an MP3 player. That's what you are. You're an iPod Touch.
Do I imagine?
Not even iPod.
It's like obviously I can think you get like songs stuck in your head. Like obviously you can imagine, but I never considered it. It's like I can picture something. Like I can see it.
Yeah.
But when I'm thinking about music, it's not like I hear it. It's like the
concept. I could fully hear it. All 5 senses I could perfectly recreate in my head. And the thought of not being able to do that is crazy.
You're not telling me you can imagine a smell like
I have fully remembered a smell, remembered it, and then I could smell it for a few minutes, and I'm like, this sucks. This does not smell good. Or whatever I'm remembering. I don't remember good smells. I remember bad smells. What if you do too much improv and don't know the differences between reality and fantasy? Again, I'm not a professional. I'm with Corey watching full episodes of the show in my noggin.
Yeah, I mean, I can do that. I mean, I got the visual. And I mean, I guess I have the audio because I'm obviously imagining it. It's just it doesn't feel like it's the same.
Do you not get songs stuck in your head?
Yeah, I do. That's what I mean.
Okay.
Like, so I mean, I am imagining sounds. It feels different. It doesn't feel the same as like picturing something. I don't know.
It's all the same to me in my mind. Do you hear a voice when you in your head or no?
Internal narration.
Yeah.
I usually know.
No, okay, that's also because I also have it. I can hear myself think. Like,
I mean, I can.
Yeah.
I can imagine a voice.
Yeah.
Like I can put Morgan Freeman in my head. But
Well,
he's not there by default. That's like a feature I got opt into.
When I'm thinking, it is like in a cartoon where they zoom in on somebody's head and then you hear like their voice talking. That is like how I think. Like it is insane to me to not have that. I can't imagine it.
I got a question.
Go
What do
ahead.
you do if you prepare to combat when the PCs would have rested? Instead, the PCs leave to continue the objective without refreshing their spells, so you bring the combat to them because it was an ambush regardless. Well, okay, so here this is new school, old school again.
It also sounds like you solved the issue.
Well, what he's asking is they're going to die.
Yeah.
So you have new school, old school again. This is the GM talk. We're all adults here. We can look behind the curtain a little bit. You, from the makers, if you control the buttons that you press, you control the encounters that you run.
Yeah.
The party doesn't have the book. There's like the old school tabletop mindset is the kind of thing that Paizo writes sometimes, where it's like this thing is tracking the party, and when they rest, it jumps them. And if they make it to this encounter, it just jumps in, almost certainly ensuring they will all die. But like it's real, it's gritty. If that's the kind of thing you're trying to run or what you're going for, I mean that's your answer right there. That's what it is. If you're running more narrative, if you're focused more on trying to have like I try to design individual encounters that are interesting, that are good challenges for the party. Like honestly, I don't know the situation. It's context dependent, of course. If I had something like that and they just didn't rest and pushed on the next encounter, well, I just wouldn't run the ambushing party. Probably, like I almost certainly just wouldn't run them.
Yeah.
Like they don't know they're there. That's the whole point, right? That's what they're doing. Like if it had been foreshadowed at all, like if there had been hints, then maybe there's a point where like you gotta let the party make mistakes, and sometimes the party makes mistakes and then bad stuff happens to them.
Yeah.
But like if it's something that just comes out of to them functionally nowhere, I probably just would cut it just on the fly. I'd just be like, oh, never mind on this, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's all situational. Like if it's the party trying to do one fight then take a long rest, then do one fight and take a long rest, something like that, then like yeah, I'm throwing whatever at them.
Yeah, sometimes you guys just like beat the party if they just want
Yeah.
to rest spam constantly.
Also depends on like if they beat your last combat and went too easy. All right, here's another one. Like it's like there's I think that's very very situational on what the party's doing, and that's just on your ability to. You have to learn is how to read the party and where they're at and stuff, and like learn how to properly throw the right stuff at them.
Yeah, it's like he said, is if you're using this as as the stick rather than the carrot, because they but it doesn't sound like your problem is they rest too much because they don't rest. This is perhaps your stick for they should rest more.
Let them sleep.
Throw it at them, I guess. In the business. This is from Fist the Ruby Phoenix. I haven't read Fist the Ruby Phoenix because I wasn't sure if I would run it or if it would be run, and it seemed like a funny campaign.
Is that the Mortal Kombat style one? Yeah.
So I didn't read it on the off chance that somebody else read it.
Is it Mortal Kombat or like a battle royale?
It's both.
Okay, sick.
It is literally like a divine fighting tournament, but it's teams instead of individuals.
All right.
So that kind
Is your party a team? Is
Yes.
that what it is? Okay.
Yes. Your party is one of the teams in the Ruby Phoenix tournament.
Is it just a one book? How's it?
It's an 11 to 20. It's 3 books.
How's it 3 books?
Because it is a full plot. Like the first book is Battle Royale, but it goes to like God.
Like fight,
I know
kill
it
like
is-
JRPG, like kill God at the end.
Well,
kind of
I
thing?
know the
Cheers.
point of it. Cheers. I know.
I'm just excited. I'm out of water.
I know there is
You fight the Power Rangers once.
I know several of the enemy parties are very thematically hilarious.
That's
There's
fun.
basically the Power Rangers, and there's some really funny ones. I know that, but I haven't looked at the specifics. It's very murder heavy from the GM perspective. I want to let you in on an internal secret. Absolutely every Pathfinder adventure as written will mulch your party.
Yeah.
Like they're complete TPK machines. You know that if you want to run a pre-written adventure path from Paizo, if you do not tweak it, they are death engines. That's just Paizo makes meat grinders. That's what they do. And I don't know if they have gotten less so, but here's my reference here's my small context. In book 1 of the Mwangi Hogwarts one, Strength of Thousands. In book 1 of Strength of Thousands.
What Hogwarts? Wandy Hogwarts?
Wongi.
Wongi.
There's an M on the front.
A word.
Wongi.
Yeah.
It's there. It's fantasy Africa. It's the deep jungle.
Gotcha.
And it's the premise of the campaign is that you are students at Funny He Who Hogwarts. The campaign is pitched as not being as combat centric, being very like RP and relationship heavy. There's obviously combat's Pathfinder, but like it's not as much as other campaigns because the point is more you go to magical school and you learn to do magical school stuff. If it's not literally the first combat encounter in the adventure, it's pretty close. You fight against a mushroom man who has a poison that stage 3 is you just straight up die.
Level 1. They're gonna handle it.
Level 1! Level 1! Extinction Curse!
It's extinction.
As
it goes to the name.
Extinction Curse is about being circus freaks. You are a funny circus troupe and you do circus things. When you start, you step out of your tent, and if you take a left, you immediately fight a level 3 cockatrice that permanently petrifies you.
It's early campaign. You don't gotta be attached to these
Paizo
characters.
is here to kill you, okay? They don't like you. They don't want your characters to survive. Paizo is here to kill your party. So just
watch out.
Just know that.
Around any corner, Paizo could be there with a knife.
Dead.
Gotcha. Okay, we got a few questions. Let's go back up here. Is there any other one? Is
there one more? Is there another one up there?
I don't think so. I think that was it.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there any other 1E APs that you thought about converting?
Iron Gods. I say
like
it
Marvel.
Every since Strange Aeons, the first time, the campaign that I have wanted to run is like, okay, do you guys want to do this or do you guys want to do Iron Gods? And this is like the third consecutive this. It's been War for the Crown, and then it was Age of Ashes, and now it's Strange Aeons again. But option 2 is always what you guys want to do Iron Gods. So nobody ever wants to do Iron Gods, which is understandable.
And now, to be fair, if you presented me with... Our frames are dropping bad. If you presented to me...
Oh no, our frames.
If you presented Iron God or Ruby, whatever it was, where you fight the Power Rangers, I'll probably do the Power Rangers one any day of the week.
Just real quick, because this is a reference to the previous thing. Cockatrice at level 1. Colby, there are, that I know of, at least 2 Pathfinder campaigns that hard right you against the Cockatrice at level 1.
This is not getting better.
We'll give it a sec. You'll figure it out.
It's fine.
Let me see. How bad? Oh, it's like bad.
It's bad.
We'll figure it out. Give it a sec.
You know what? The VOD's fine, so this is for YouTube.
We're talking. As long as I hear the talking, we're vibing.
Yeah, and you know what? If you respond to your questions like in 3 minutes, sorry.
a little bit internet issues. I don't think it's internet. I think it's software. But anyway, what were we talking about before I got distracted again? I got derailed by the cockatrice. What was the question we were answering?
Converting into AP.
Oh yeah, it's still Iron Gods. How about you, Corey?
I've never read them. Never passed. Next question.
Iron Gods, and then this is stupid, but Skull and Shackles again. You'd think I'd want to run something else other than just rerunning the same 3 campaigns over and over again forever.
Why would you?
The first full-length campaign I ever ran was Skull and Shackles. I was a brand new GM and I had no idea what I was doing. And I think there's a lot of interesting meat in there that I did not do justice. But anyway, Iron Gods, because you would like this. Iron Gods is a story that takes place in Conan the Barbarian land.
Fun.
Which is barbarians with laser chainswords.
Very Kung Fury. Go ahead.
The plot is basically there is a UFO crash that is doing weird stuff to the land around it, and you go investigate it. So it's Pathfinder, it's fantasy.
This is the one that introduced Kasatha? Or Kasatha, the four-armed guys that are from Mars?
Kasava. Maybe? I don't know. I haven't actually read the entire thing. I know the main overarching plot I think this is kind of just well known at this point. It is the plot of how Cassandra Lee became a god.
Gotcha.
It is Cassandra Lee's backstory.
Cassandra Lee's got a whole story, huh?
Yeah, it's really cool because you're full fantasy and you're getting like flamethrowers and power armors and chainsaws and stuff. And it's just like it's crazy.
Elysia said Iron Gods is cool. It's why we got Starfinder.
Yes, Iron Gods was so cool that they made Starfinder, which is just Iron Gods. It was a whole campaign.
I owe Iron Gods a lot then. Let's see. Where was the question? There. Okay. Have you found a good way to diffuse the "I'm a PC so I can do whatever I want without consequences" mentality?
Kill him.
Kill him. They're dead.
Yeah, really easy solution for that one.
Hey, there's a lot of consequences for your actions.
That's crazy. You crit you again? No way. Only you can see my dice behind the screen.
Oh man, there's a lot of nat 20s. No, I mean just like that, or they
on a PC I can do whatever I want without consequence. The answer is consequences.
I give them.
They think that because they're not getting consequences.
I give them both consequences in gameplay mechanic wise and also roleplay wise. Because if they're that way, I'm not going to engage with them. Like they'll get the story because they have to be there. Everyone else gets all the cool parts of it.
Yeah, to be fair, I've had very little of that problem.
Yeah, when I played with like some younger people before, I've had that issue.
Yeah,
and then you just do that.
The answer is consequences.
Consequences. Let's see. When Starfighter 2 comes out fully, are you thinking of doing an alt Joro game since that's an option now? You know what? Maybe as a one shot.
That sounds like a one shot.
Yeah, it's a one.
A solid one shot.
Oops, all Joros.
Oops, all Joros.
Which would because Joro is just fully. I think it's like I don't know if it's a race or an archetype you can take in it, but it is just the clone from that one adventure. You can just be a Joro now, which is very, very fun.
If you ever think a player's not fully toss your plans for this session, I got one. So I had a session that was setting up a boss fight. This is War for the Crown again. This is the first thing that comes to mind. I was setting up a boss fight. I assumed it was going to be a pretty big battle. It was both a relatively difficult encounter, like mechanically, but also kind of a big story beat because Dara, Bryn's character, was like a military veteran who was still very loyal to like the Taldan military, and it was kind of like the big conflict he had in the party is that the game's main antagonist is like the opposite side of Civil War. His leader is the commander of the military. So he was kind of like torn, and it was a colonel that was doing a lot of like really bad and shady stuff, and Dara was forced to like confront like the military's not all good, like they're not using their powers strictly for good, like just because he did and he had a good experience with them. It's all over the place. It was gonna be a big talk, big battle, big event. And we rolled initiative. Dara won, rolled a 20 and killed him instantly.
Nice. feels great when that thing you planned just.
The dude drew his weapon and Dara just went twink and he just died.
It's like the scene to Indiana Jones. The guy doing all the machetes.
Straight up Indiana Jones, Jim. I was like, oh. Okay, so don't have a whole lot planned out for the rest of the day.
Episode over.
Okie dokie then. So that's that. Anyway,
that's really funny.
That was a big old crit you got there.
Like RuneScape, Cassandra Lee. You know RuneScape. Is it the same Cassandra Lee?
That's what Cassandra Lee is. That's what I. Okay, so in RuneScape.
Okay, make this fast. It's okay. I believe in you.
You can make there's a game mode called Iron Man where you can't trade with anybody and you have to basically play the entire game by yourself. Case the auction house, you earn everything yourself.
Okay.
And I named my Iron Man Cassandra Lee because Cassandra Lee is the Iron God from Iron God. So I named my character Cassandra Lee, Iron God, Iron Man.
Okay.
That's the reference, yes.
Alright, I get it. Piggybacking off of the 1E AP thing, which 1E Starfighter game would you want to do in 2E? My Signal of Screams or Threefold Conspiracies?
Why are we minusing two things? Is this a hate man? Like, what are we? He's Googling.
No, mine is Signal of Screams.
I said minus. Yes. I can't.
Mines.
I can mostly read, but these glasses
I can try to zoom in.
12 years old. So
does that work?
That's better. It's definitely better. I can't see it.
All right, hang on. I'm going to Google because I have the keyboard and mouse here.
While he's doing that, like, you know, every Iron Man is named Iron something or FE something. I was too. It was just subtle.
I'm at the Paizo store website to look at Starfighter Adventure Pass. Because I don't remember a lot of them. Oh, Mechageddon! Duh, Corey.
No.
Yeah, the Godzilla one. Yeah, I want to do the Godzilla one.
Hi, we met.
Hey, I'm Corey. I love that Godzilla. Yeah, I guess Mechageddon. Like it was like it came out like 2 months after they announced Starfighter 2E is happening after all the licensing stuff happened. So it's just like I remember seeing it and being like, I don't normally care about like running an adventure path because I like writing stuff, but it's like it's Mechageddon. I'm like I want to make, but now it's like by the time Secrets
That boy sure does love his Godzilla.
I do.
You're want to get this man a birthday present? Just Google Godzilla and buy something.
I own a lot of the DVDs. Don't buy a DVD.
Not a DVD.
Buy me anything else.
Any random piece of merchandise.
For our roommate got me a Funko Pop of Godzilla. And honestly, it's one of the only good Funko Pops because it does not look like a Funko Pop.
Yeah, it looks like Godzilla.
Yeah, I was like, all right, this is fun. But Mechageddon. You got me the card.
Oh, the card sorter for your Magic cards.
That I've used kind of.
I did see it on the table.
I did. I've used it to put all my lands in there, and I tried organizing things, and then I got extremely bored and stopped. I hate organizing cards. That's boring as hell. I will die before I organize a card.
Fair enough. Should have got him Godzilla.
It's being used. It's actively being used. But it was Mechageddon came out right as the 2E stuff was coming in. Like all the licensing stuff was happening. So Mechageddon kind of got overshadowed by the announcement of 2E and that it's being converted into like the Pathfinder 2E system. And it is the last adventure path for Starfinder 1E. And because the two things I wanted to run, when I ran one of them was what was the miniseries we did? Fight for the Dragon?
Defy the Dragon.
Defy the Dragon. It was that, and then it was Mechageddon. Big robots fight big monster.
You got time.
Corey.
Corey
Roof. So, what I wanted to do Mechageddon, but by the time Secrets will wrap, Starfinder 2E will be out, and it's like I gotta, if I do another Starfinder show, I gotta do a Starfinder 2E thing. I'm not gonna go back to 1E. So maybe, I don't know, I can look through and try to convert it, but I don't know anything about the second edition system. Like it would be very hard for me to try to convert it.
I've looked at it very briefly just out of curiosity because I wanted to see what they did, and it confused me a lot.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Stopped looking at it. I thought it would be very easy to process because I do so much Pathfinder 2E, but it's more differenter than I thought it would be.
Yeah, this is another case of, when we talked about this on the Strange Aeons of Love, this is another case of Archives of Nethys does not make it easy to learn this kind of stuff.
That's true, yeah. It's really like
if
a
you
reference.
have the book, then it's a lot
We would
easier.
need the playtest or like the
I do have the
2E
playtest book. Arcadis gave it to me like a year ago. It's just been in my bedroom. I've like flipped through it a couple times. I haven't really like looked at it.
I did do that.
I gotta send you a link. Somebody did a homebrew of Aspect of Godzilla for 5e, and it's so good. Please send that to me. I would love that.
Is there any UGT staff you really want to have in your next campaign, including the people on your show? Well, I just got Brett and Corey back on the show.
No, it's a bone player again.
So
I didn't think it happened.
I have almost put Age of Ashes back together. So here's the thing: is there's nobody in the like UGT bubble that we don't like playing with. That's why we have everyone.
Yeah. A lot of the difficulty with figuring out the staff is like trying to figure out how to mix it up more.
Yeah, it's trying to just not repeat the same cast over and over again, and then also scheduling. It's
also scheduling.
It's always also scheduling.
Yeah, I don't know. Brett would be fun to play with. Yeah, because he's the one I've played with. I haven't played with him like really at all since he's new.
I feel like I barely played with Gary and Riley because it was just Malevolence.
It's just Malevolence. You played with Logan once.
I played with Logan just for
4 episodes.
4 episodes. So those are the 3 that I've played with the least.
I'm praying to God We Are Goradio is John and not a bully.
Is it just John? Is that what this insanity is coming from?
This makes sense. This all adds up. Hi, John.
AJ had a lovely time going slowly down. You were like 3 seats away from me. 2 seats away from me.
I love my favorite part of Defy the Dragon was you doing the voice and then watching Sully's face drop. She was like, I have to do this for 12 hours.
My favorite part of planning Defy the Dragon for myself was spending a lot of time putting 2146 together and figuring out like what kind of character I wanted him to be and really like developing this interesting character and then finding the funny voice box thing and throwing out the entire character and just making him funny voice box.
It was funny voice box and he smells. This is what his character comes down to.
Yeah, I talked to Corey so many times about what I wanted 2146
and like how that race
so many
interacts.
directions I wanted to go and like different personalities he could have, and then I found that he's like, I was looking at items, I was like, I don't understand these items. He's like, you should have some like look at mods, and I found the voice box and went and then my whole character got scrapped, and it was just funny voice box, man. And I regret it a little, but I mostly don't regret it.
It was great, and you somehow managed to have an emotional beat at the end with everyone's like risking their lives to save you.
The screaming ant
saying don't, and they were like, shut up. They pull you out of the sun or whatever.
Character was so stupid.
We had some banger
so
characters
dumb.
in there. Vinny's an all-time. Vinny got a shirt. Vinny was loved
Vinny
so
got
much.
He got a
4-episode
miniseries. How you doing?
That's also, I forgot that because that was Logan's like first stream. That's how everybody met Logan.
You spent your entire character budget on a gun that basically didn't do anything.
It did a D20 of damage, and you weren't proficient in it.
That was his whole budget. It was like this stupid little gun.
Nothing
It
else.
sucked so bad. Oh my god. Oh. Thought you were a combat character. What's funny is you're welcome that for me not running the original iteration 2146 that hit for like 100 every turn.
That's all I know is Starfinder.
Originally 2146 was a billion damage two-hander, man. And then I was like, I pulled up a couple of like level appropriate bestiary monsters and looked at their HP and looked at how hard I hit things and went, I'll be more supporty. Built them to be very defensive.
Here's the honest truth. Even if you did do that, it would have been fine. Because I just blatantly ignore half the stuff. It's like, every time I see a creature, I'm like, alright, there's some abilities in here I like, there's just some stats I can work on.
He dies.
He gets 200 more HP because he's gonna need it. His AC's gonna get a little buff because he's gonna need it. And this is like 2 CR above everyone else. Like, it is, the balancing of Starfinder confuses me every single time.
It's just Pathfinder 1. It's like the story I told you earlier. I had what was like an act-ending boss fight that Dara quite literally one-shotted. Just went, and he was dead. I was like...
Secrets of the Stars is the stats don't matter.
Most realistic crossbow shots.
It is just like, there's just a point where like you... he has immunity to having his feelings hurt. That's not gonna come up. It's like, no, okay, he's gonna actually matter and do some things now. It's like there's so many weird little things
he's
in there.
immune to diseases. What an interesting twist. This will make the party rethink their tactics.
What if he instead was immune to fire? Just spitballing. I don't know. Like, there's so I cannot stress how many stat blocks I looked at and been like, there's one really cool ability in here surrounded by 17 other things that will never come up ever.
Let me find where's the ooze that they find. Because the immunities are just so funny. So did you know this ooze is immune to being knocked unconscious?
Everyone's non-lethal with oozes. Anytime I see an ooze, I'm like, oh, I gotta save that.
You know it's important. They don't want to do lethal damage. They can't kill the ooze. Like, it's an ooze, man. It doesn't deserve that.
It doesn't even know it's alive. It's just there.
Life. It's just living its life. Doing regular stuff. All right.
I cannot wait to put you and Corey through in all oops is one shot. Or oops, all oops is one shot.
The skin stitches were immune to diseases. And also the doomed condition.
What will Reginald ever do?
Which matters a lot on NPCs that die when they are killed. It's like, it matters so much.
Oh, by the way, I joined a D&D improv team up here in New York City, but I'm not John. I'm glad we cleared the air on that.
That's just not John.
Thank God.
That's awesome, though. What a coincidence you live in the same place.
You should see my buddy John.
That's crazy.
You would love my buddy John. He's up in New York City, actually.
He's immune to healing.
It's okay, so whatever happens, happens to him.
He's immune to necromancy, a trait that no longer exists in the game. He's immune to unconscious.
Yep.
He's also separately immune to non-lethal attacks.
What does that mean? Immune to non-lethal. Like you have the intent behind it.
You have to have murderous intent. You have to have the will
you
to kill.
You swing a club at him and he goes, "You didn't mean it." Like, what does that mean?
He just looks at you. Your heart's not in it.
Just fight with honor, young man.
Strength is 0 damage. You just see a 0 pop up and float out of him. You have to believe. You have to lay it all on the line. Fight with everything you have.
This is an inspirational ooze. Thank you, ooze. You have to turn it into Nickelodeon slime. Otherwise, this is for nothing. Hit me. It just does the Joker, like, come on.
Show me your true self. Unleash your rage.
Don't you know who I am?
Immune to non-lethal damage. It's so funny.
You know, like what else? I don't understand what that could mean.
I've never considered this. Like, it's just it's not like it doesn't do damage. It just doesn't kill them if they hit 0.
Your heart has to be in it. You have to want to kill. Any pacifist is doomed if an ooze walks up. Okay. This is what I deal with. It's Starfinder. It's just like, what do you mean? He's immune to lore checks. What do you mean by that, dude?
I am an enigma.
Nobody could ever pin me down. Okay.
Well, immune to lore checks. What is the freaking Riddler? Like, what's it, Sasquatch?
It's also like, I would love to have more poisons and diseases in Starfinder, but like the rules, you have like so many chances to pass that it means nothing. There's like so few ways for me to do actual meaningful poison damage. That's an earlier question. What would I be lifting? I'd probably just be lifting the 5e systems on it and just make it persistent damage.
2e is good. 2e poisons are great. Well, there's stuff in 2e that just has persistent poison damage, but like poisons themselves, the 2e fixes it with some classes. Like there's a couple. There's an alchemist that you can build to basically bombers, healers, or poisoners. Poison or alchemist works pretty decently well.
I'm sorry, I just imagine somebody punching an ooze and then it just going coward. It just pulls them back in. I'm sorry, we got so back on the rails.
I think this might be it for this game. I think the ooze has got us.
Your fist means nothing. Okay.
Your soul is asleep. Your will falters.
You dare stand before me, slime block, with such a cowardice spine as yours?
Strike me down now, or become a feast for the worms.
It's like a puddle. It's
a slightly smoldering blob.
Every time it bubbles is when a sentence comes up. Anyway, thanks for joining the stream. I hope this advice helped. Run more oozes. Run more oozes.
I hope you learned a lot. John, I'm glad you're doing good.
John, if it's you.
I mean, John, if you ever meet John, guy who's definitely not John.
Guy who's not John, I hope you never meet him because you hate him.
He sucks, but like...
He's apparently super
I hope
stinky.
he's doing well with his improv D&D troupe.
Alright, thank you guys so much for joining and watching. If you like the show, want to support us, follow us on at UGT Show on all social media platforms, including those that will be banned soon. If you want to support us even further, $5 a month on Patreon gets you access to our post shows, where we don't do one for these, but for adventure paths and actual plays, we will do a post show for 30-45 minutes. We'll talk about those. Tomorrow night, if you're watching live or if you're watching on YouTube, whenever.
On any Tuesday, theoretically.
On any Tuesday, we're here. Or on Wednesday nights, we have Secrets Between the Stars, or Pathfinder show, where we use a lot of the information we just talked about. Sunday is Strange Aeons, the Pathfinder 2nd Edition show that AJ runs, where we also use a lot of the information we just talked about, like oozes.
Okay, a lot of oozes. There's a lot of oozes in there, man.
Join our Discord and send your favorite ooze.
So put your favorite ooze in the general chat, not in show discussion, not in Pathfinder. Find your favorite ooze. Doesn't even have to be a Pathfinder monster. It can just be like anything that qualifies as ooze. You like mayonnaise? Throw it in there. Give me a bottle.
It doesn't even have to be our Discord. Put it in the Put it in the channel.
Go to your favorite Discord and post the link to your favorite ooze right now. Get everyone $5 on a franchise.
If you want to send John, who this guy hates, by the way, $5 on Venmo.
Really funny prank.
Nobody else can do that bit. Nobody else put your Venmo in. That's the one. There's one Venmo bit for the rest of the UGT, and he got it. Okay? Anyone else, you're insta-banned. The mods kill you. Have a good night. Bye.
Just be sent to your house as we speak.
Okay, bye. I gotta go. No, don't.